Was the Dark Ages really dark? Hello, and welcome to Medieval Life. Today, we venture into one of history's most intriguing debates. Was the so-called Dark Ages truly as devoid of progress as its name suggests? This question has ignited discussions among historians for centuries, and today we're diving headfirst into the debate, peeling back layers to uncover the truth. Spoiler alert. The answer may not be as straightforward as it seems. What exactly are the Dark Ages? The term has long referred to the period in European history from the fall of the Western Roman Empire in the 5th century to the dawn of the Renaissance in the 14th century. Often characterized as an era of cultural and economic decline, intellectual stagnation, and societal chaos, this portrayal paints a grim picture. But is it an accurate reflection? Let's challenge the stereotype together and ask, could there be more light in this era than history tends to suggest? Let's start with where the term Dark Ages came from. It was coined by Petrarch, a 14th century Italian scholar who lamented what he perceived as the deterioration of Roman ideals and knowledge. To Petrarch, the fall of Rome signified the onset of darkness in contrast to the brilliance of classical antiquity. Centuries later, Enlightenment thinkers popularized this pejorative term to elevate their era as the Age of Reason. But was their perspective entirely unbiased, or did it serve their narrative? Here's where the debate begins. Fast forward to modern times, where historians have begun to shed light on this allegedly dark era. Yes, the early medieval period was tumultuous, but it was also one of adaptation, preservation, and innovation. Shall we dismantle the myth together? Despite the chaos of invasions and political instability, monasteries emerged as beacons of intellectual light. Monks worked tirelessly to copy ancient texts, scientific, literary, and religious, preserving the wisdom of classical antiquity. Without these efforts, the works of Aristotle, Cicero, and others might have been lost in the mists of time. Let's pause and ask, without the dedicated work of these medieval scholars, would the Renaissance, the celebrated rebirth of knowledge, have been possible? Were these figures not the critical torchbearers? What about creativity? Weren't the Dark Ages barren of artistic inspiration? Not quite. This period gave rise to remarkable artistic expressions like illuminated manuscripts and intricate metalwork. One shining example is the Book of Kells, a masterpiece that reflects the extraordinary craftsmanship and devotion of its creators. Here's a question to ponder. Does the existence of such masterpieces support the theory of an intellectually stagnant era or encourage us to reevaluate it? Contrary to the idea of stagnation, technological advancements flourished during this time. Innovations like the heavy plow and the three-field crop rotation system revolutionized agriculture, boosting productivity and, subsequently, population growth. Could these breakthroughs mark the beginning of Europe's agricultural and economic success rather than signify decline? History enthusiasts weigh in. Was the Dark Ages really dormant in technological progress? Similarly, trade networks began to knit Europe together, laying the foundations for economic revival. Emerging urban markets linked regions through the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture. This shift sowed the seeds for future economic expansion during the High Middle Ages. The picture becomes even more intriguing when we consider this. Is it fair to label a period with such pivotal trade and urban growth as dark? Yes, Europe witnessed intellectual breakthroughs as well. Far from being void of curiosity, cathedral schools became precursors to modern universities. These institutions nurtured philosophy, theology, and early science, forming the bedrock for a future intellectual explosion. Could this fostering of knowledge during the so-called Dark Ages indicate that the seeds of the Renaissance were sown much earlier than commonly believed? So, were these centuries truly devoid of progress, as the term suggests? Looking through an inquisitive lens, the period reveals layers of resilience, creativity, and growth. While challenges abounded, wars, chaos, and changing political orders, this was an era of survival and transformation. Foundations were laid for what was to come, from the flourishing art and knowledge of the Renaissance to advancements in science and commerce. For those of us passionate about history's complexities, let's end with one final thought. Had this era not persevered, would the Renaissance have shined as brightly as it did? Perhaps the Dark Ages deserve a more nuanced name. Thank you for joining this exploration of one of history's great debates. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you still see the Dark Ages as dark? What other historical misconceptions are worth revisiting? If you enjoyed tackling these historical questions, remember to like, subscribe, and comment below. There's always more history waiting to be rediscovered.